Hello. Oh. Scary. Scary. On the door at the entrance to the chapel, something very large, drawn with a creepy, stringy paint that made one think of blood. Something like a creepy magic circle.
何よこれいつ書かれたの
Servants looked at each other. Oda was the first to open his mouth.
申し訳ございません。普段はここへは立ち入りませんもので、いつ書かれたのかはわかりません。
じゃあ最初に見つけたのは誰？はい、私です。食堂へお茶の道具の片付けに行きましたら、礼拝堂と書かれたメモがあったもので。
Jen held out the memo with a shaking hand.
誰の字？兄さんや姉さんの字ではないわね。それであなたはここへ来てこれを見つけたのね。はい。
ローザ様、これを。
何？ハッピーハロウィン4。
John pointed at a single line of English written below the creepy magic circle. Until it had been pointed out to her, she thought it was just another part of the magic circle. There, the following words were written in English. Happy Halloween for Maria. Happy Halloween for Maria. This creepy magic circle was for Maria. Happy Halloween. Yesterday, only one person had said Happy Halloween to Maria. The key phrase matched. It was the Golden Witch, Beatrice.
マリアは？あの子、いとこたちと一緒に寝てるはずよね。確認した。
申し訳ございません。マリア様のお名前が書かれていたことには今気づきましたもので、まだ確認しておりません。至急。
何やってんのよ。私はマリアの様子を見てきます。それからクラウス兄さんたちにも知らせて、以後の対応の指示を受けて。
After saying that much, Rosa finally noticed that something was odd. Her own rank in his family conference was the lowest of the four siblings. Why had she been the only one called during an abnormal situation like this, when the other siblings hadn't been? Even if Maria's name had popped up.
Massacre.
はい。旦那様にご連絡申し上げようとしたのですが、お姿が見当たらず。
奥様もお部屋におられません。シーツの様子からすると、昨夜はベッドに戻られていないのかもしれません。
Rosa felt something creepy crawling slowly up her back.
礼拝堂の中を確認した。
いえ、まだです。確認しようとはしたのですが。
実は礼拝堂の鍵は特別でマスターキーに対応しておりません。一本だけある鍵でしか開けられないのですが、その鍵がキーボックスから紛失しているのです。
She didn't want to get closer to the door with the creepy magic circle if she could. Rosa readied herself and approached, and tried pushing and pulling it off. All she felt was the resistance of the sturdy wall.
入れる窓などがないか探してはみたのですが、もし中を確認するのでしたら窓を破らなければならないかと思います。いかがいたしましょう。
そんな許可私に出せるわけがないわ。お父様の大切な礼拝堂なのよ。そんなこと。
At that time, the events of the previous day swirled around in the back of Rosa's mind. That's right. I met that witch in the rose garden. Didn't she hand Maria an envelope? Yeah, there's no mistake. She did hand it over. Maria tried to open it. The witch told her not to do it yet, and then she surely said, "Time to open that with Rosa." Rosa was sure. There could be no mistake. The envelope Maria had received was... Oh no. After dashing back to the guest house, Rosa approached the cousin's room while hiding her footsteps. Softly opened the door and peered inside. From the inside, she could hear the healthy snores typical of young people. There were 4 children, and Maria was there, sleeping soundly. After breathing a sigh of relief, she entered the room with quiet footsteps. She was after Maria's handbag, which was resting on the sofa. Maria always liked carrying her treasures around with her. She was probably emulating how her mother always carried her makeup with her. Of course, she was just imitating her mother, so everything on the inside was junk. In Maria's case, it was full of small, creepy, occult items, notebooks describing things of that nature, and so on. Rosa had never been happy to see her daughter walking around with things like that. They weren't girlish at all. However, trying to force Maria to stop had resulted in a big fight, so she decided to let it be. A western envelope with the crest of the gold. When she took it out of the bag, she realized there was a heavy, vaguely cylindrical object inside. She could tell by its feel and its weight. There was no doubt. This was the key. After turning around and checking that Maria was still sound asleep, Rosa tore open the envelope and the contents spilled out into it. It was a key with an old and intricate design. Rosa gripped that key and dashed out. Ador seemed to have noticed that sound, but after grumbling and turning over in his sleep, he started snoring again. Grumble.
Genji-san, この鍵、ひょっとして礼拝堂の鍵ということは。
これをどこで？はい。これが礼拝堂の鍵です。
Rosa approached the creepy magic circle once again and put the key in the keyhole. There was a strong resistance. After it resisted for a short while, it stopped resisting with a clunk. Then, squeaking with a noise that hurt one's ears, it slowly began to open.
誰か
Eerie.
いるの？
Her voice reverberated throughout the massacre. Of course, there was no answer. It's gonna be graphic. The chapel had a high ceiling, and the air was cold. And even on this rainy, unsettling day, it felt sacred for some reason. The servants timidly followed after Rosa.
Rosa-sama, あれを。
Scared. Tanan noticed it immediately and pointed. Over there was the altar. In the place that would normally have a pastor preaching of God's love, there was a table that shouldn't have been there. At first, it looked like a dining table. There actually were gorgeous plates and utensils placed there, making it look like a child's birthday party or something. Upon closer inspection, the surrounding area had been decorated with pumpkins and black and orange ribbons. They were probably Halloween decorations. And there were people seated at the table. 3 people on each side facing each other, seated in chairs. They could be recognized at a glance. Faust and his wife, Eva and her husband, and Rudolph and his wife. But if you wanted to be sure, you'd still have to go even closer and check. Because they seemed almost like dolls. Rosa and the rest had opened the door, entered all at once with the sound of many footsteps, and called out, asking if anyone was there. And yet, there had been no reaction. Even if Rosa and the rest assumed they were being ignored, you'd still expect there to be some kind of reaction. And there hadn't even been that. So at first, it felt like someone had set down some dolls that greatly resembled those people. By now, it wasn't just Rosa. Shannon and Kanan, and even Goda. They were all fighting frantically with the creepy emotion that grasped their hearts.
兄さん、Aさん。
Some kind of possession? As she walked towards the altar, she called out again, but there was still no reaction. Yes, by now, Rosa was sure of it. She was sure these weren't dolls, but the people themselves.
これは。
They grew close enough to see clearly what lay on the table. It still looked like an adorable banquet, reminiscent of a child's birthday party. Plates piled up with sweets, cute pitchers with drinks, all kinds of pumpkin-shaped ornaments. They were all decorated in a Halloween style. And while this probably wasn't the time to be thinking it, Maria would surely have been delighted to see all this. That was the state of the table they sat in front of, apparently asleep. It was an eerie scene, as though a small, fun-looking Halloween party had been stopped in time.
兄さんたち、
They were all
寝てるの？
sleeping. When she approached even closer to them, she realized that there were snacks scattered all over the floor. Candies, cookies, soda, and chocolates, all with heavily fantasy-themed packaging. They were all scattered across the carpet, covered with blackberry and cranberry jam. Blackberry, cranberry. Rosa and the rest finally realized what the situation was. It was a Halloween party. A banquet for those not of this world. All dead. Rouse, Natsuki, Eva, Hideyoshi, Rudolph, and Kairi were seated in chairs, apparently asleep, but all dead. How could you tell that they were dead and not simply sleeping? It was because they'd been vertically sliced open from their chests to their stomachs. Gross. Okay.
旦那様。
なんて
Nasty.
むごい。
Six of them had sat down at the Halloween party before having their stomachs split open, killing them. And the jam covering the floor must be what overflowed from their stomachs once they stuffed themselves completely, right? No. The contents of their stomachs had been scattered all over the floor. And that wasn't all. Out of their stomachs, it was almost as though they poured out. As though snacks had overflowed them there. From there. Oh, gross. Ow. Candies and cookies, sodas and chocolates poured out, stained with blood, and had scattered across the floor. What could have happened to cause this? It's almost as though their stomachs were stuffed full to bursting with sweets, and it all poured out when their stomachs split open. Yikes. Rosa remembered a certain shocking meal, a turkey that had been served at her own birthday. When it had been cut open with a knife, out flowed one of her favorite foods. Since she hadn't been told what was inside, deep, deep red ketchup, omelette rice poured out like bloody maggots. Pulsing, dripping, slimy, pulpy, squelching. Trauma of her youth was revived. Rosa felt a monster raging inside her stomach as the acid started to rise. Unable to hold back, she threw it all up on the floor. Her empty stomach had nothing but stomach acid. The scene in front of her was no fun Halloween party now. The three couples were enshrined right there, their stomachs vertically wrenched open with the... Okay. Gooey, bad. So many snacks had been stuffed in there. Pulpy, squishy. Blood and guts were... Sweets were overflowing on bloodstained, sticky, sloppy, pulpy, sweet snacks that made your fingers stick together. Gummy, but stained with entrails. Sloppy, pulpy. What was that? I stepped on this now. It didn't feel like a candy or a cookie or soda or a chocolate. I'm scared what I did. step on and I can't even look at the bottom of my foot. Yes. Yikes. Yeah. What a gruesome Halloween party. Oh, what a gruesome Halloween party. From far away, and it looked truly beautiful, fantastical, and fun. From up close, it was horrible, disgusting, yet somehow still beautiful. Rosa's wild thoughts tried as best they could to escape her throat with a loud voice that was neither a scream nor a wail.
旦那様。
こんなのってひどいひどい。
救急車、警察。
It's disturbing.
警察警察警察警察警察警察。
So violent. The words so tied to reality hadn't come out of Goda's mouth. Rosa and the rest would probably have found themselves unable to escape that nightmarish party even now. But it wasn't because they thought the police might be able to do something. They didn't keep yelling about the police. It felt as though another seat might be set up at this demon's party and given to them. Their own chests felt like they were expanding unpleasantly from the inside. Rumbling, churning, and it was surely because candy was about to overflow from their stomachs. Rosa, once again tortured by a desire to vomit, threw her stomach acid up on the floor. And then she searched to see if there was any candy in it. Rosa coughed violently again, forcefully spitting out the stomach acid that had been burning in her throat. She realized that by now, her whole body had been covered in a filthy swoon.
源氏さんとシャナンちゃんはお父様に連絡して指示を仰いでちょうだい。郷田さんはカノン君と一緒に行って警察に電話を。あと南條先生に来てもらって。
I even bring Dr. Nanjo here. It's a bit too late for medical care. The servants accepted their orders and dashed outside. After watching them leave, Rosa once again stared at her siblings, with whom she'd spent good times and bad, and their partners. Though there could be nothing more tragic than this scene, for some reason she was tempted to describe these fantastical deaths as beautiful. Ew. I want to see what they look like.
いねえな。
Yeah, gross. I gotta look. What does this look like? These. Welcome Maria. Okay, I'll read more of that later. They aren't here.
どこに行っちまったんだろうな。
Where'd they go?
使用人室も厨房も空っぽだぜ。一体どうしちまったってんだ。
弱ったね。バトラ君、本当にローザおばさんだったのかい？まあ、俺も寝ぼけてたから自信はねえんだが。明け方にローザおばさんが入ってきて、マリアの手提げカバンを漁ってるような気がしたんだよ。俺はてっきりマリアの手提げに歯磨きのチューブでも入ってるんじゃないかなんて思って寝ぼけてて。
なんで歯磨きのチューブがマリアの手提げに入ってるんだよ。寝ぼけて夢でも見たに決まってんぜ。
Radour vaguely remembered Rosa entering the cousin's room. Also, when Maria woke up before the rest of them, She started rampaging around, saying that someone had opened the envelope she'd been keeping safe. Putting two and two together, they figured that Rosa had probably come and opened one.
黄金の魔女様の封筒か。中に何が入ってたんだろ
う。わからないね。でもあの封筒はおじい様が新書に使う後宮家の家紋の入ったものだった。親族会議と無関係なものが入っていたとは考えがたいね。
She hadn't let anyone touch it, but yesterday, Maria had shown that envelope off to Battle and the rest to whole lot. So they remembered it well.
ジョージの兄貴の言う通りなら相当重要なものらしいが、しかしそんな大事なものをどうして魔女様はマリアに渡したんだろうな。さっぱりだぜ。
Every once in a while, the refreshing morning atmosphere was completely wiped out by the sound of thunder. It was only natural. Since the moment they'd woken up, they hadn't met anyone else. Felt like only they were left, as if the mansion had become an empty husk.
おーい、誰かいないか。返事してくれよ。
Jessica called out into the hallway, and eventually, an answer came back. It came from the entrance hall.
聞こえますとも。何かありましたか。
南條先生だ。よかった。この島から僕たち以外が消えてしまったわけではないようだよ。
南條先生、おはようございます。すみませんが、うちの親たちとかどこに行ったか知りませんか。
はて、私も今起きてこちらに来たばかりですからな。わかりかねますが、さて。
It was only natural. Nanjo was a guest just like the rest of them. He'd come just now to pass the time in the parlor until breakfast.
南條先生、ママが通った。ママがマリアのお手紙通ったの。返して、返して。
Maria buried her face in Nanjo's plump stomach, sobbing and crying. Nanjo could do nothing but be bewildered by his ruckus so early in the morning.
誰かかけてくるぜ。ジェシカ、誰か来るぞ。
From down the hall, they could sense people running hurriedly. They saw Goda and Kanan coming towards them. Normally, it would be disgraceful for a servant to run inside the mansion. Yet, Madeline and the rest didn't even think to question that now. Maria's sobbing had become so unmanageable, they wanted to ask someone, anyone, where Rosa was. But the two servants seemed to have bigger things on their minds than Jessica, who was waving at them. Goda flew into the servant room, and when Kanan noticed that Nanjo was there, he bowed and approached the doctor at a quick pace before whispering something into his ear.
何ですって。ローザさんが。
はい、ご案内いたしますので、どうかご同行お願いいたします。
わかりました。
こちらへ。
Without saying anything more than that, Kanan finally noticed Jessica and bowed. But he wasn't calm. He dashed back down to the corridor by which he had come, all by Nanjo. By looking at how hurried they were, Adler and the rest realized that yes, something bad really had happened. They saw Goda through the door to the servant room, which had been flung open. He was holding the receiver and violently pressing the home. From that, they realized that he was trying to call a hospital or police. In any event, he was trying to call someone because a serious emergency had occurred.
行ってみようぜ。
They didn't know what, but something was happening. Adler and the rest chased after Kanan and Nanjo. And then we realized Kanan-kun had called Dr. Nanjo, but he hadn't called us, so we shouldn't have gone with them. I wonder if Alice regretted her ex's curiosity. She chased after that rabbit holding a clock. Alice in Wonderland. Oh.
ダメよ、入っちゃダメ、見ちゃダメ、ジェシカちゃんダメ。
Oh, the dog. The parents all died first.
母さん、父さん、何があったの？
なんだよこりゃ。趣味が悪いにも程があるじゃねえかよ。命を奪うならそれで十分事足りただろうがよ。なんだよこりゃ。わざわざ殺した後に椅子に座らせて腹裂いて、菓子をわざわざ中に詰め込んだってのかよ。なんだってそんな悪趣味なことをしやがるんだよ。チキショウやってくれやがるぜ。最高だよ最高だよ。
皆さんは外へ出られた方がいい。こんな姿を皆さんに見せたいなどと彼らが思うわけがありません。
Ando told the children to go outside, but no one listened.
ローザさん、皆さんに言ってください。こんなもの見続けては毒になる。
Rosa regretted her own carelessness. She should have realized that the children would eventually come. She should have quickly walked up instead of standing around stunned. For the children had come here. They had seen it. Surely, at this very moment, they were having a sight burn into their eyes. That was far more grotesque than the shocking meal Rosa had lived. Rashi hugged Maria, who seemed to be too shocked to show any emotion at this gruesome scene. Rosa cried for them in their turn. The four groaning and crying voices, their sadness, continued to echo in a place that should have known God's will.
クソ野郎がまたかよ。またこんな殺人を。しかも今度もやたらと凝った最高にふざけた殺し方をしやがって。
わらわはそんな嘆きより感謝の言葉が聞きたかったぞ。
感謝と言ったかこのクソババア。てめえ耳がいかれてやがるってんなら俺が両の耳を引き裂いてよーく聞こえるようにしてやるぜ。なんで俺がこの最高にいかれた殺し方にありがとうございますベアトリーチェ様なんて言わなければならねえんだ。
前回のゲームでお前は自分の親の死に顔が見られないと嘆いたな。だから残したぞ。しっかり残した。よく拝んでおけ。間違いなく父親たちが殺されたことを。
そうかよ。そいつはサービス満点だぜ。気に入った。俺はてめえの息の根を止めたら顔面耕してやろうと誓ってたが、そいつは取り消してやるぜ。てめえの腹渡を引きずり出してやる。
感情に任せて思考を止めるな。すでにわらわのゲームは始まっておるのだぞ。わらわは今回は綺麗に死体を残すことに決めた。なぜだかわかるか？前回のゲームでそなたがわらわの存在を否定するとき、こう考えて否定したであろう。顔面が潰され遺体の身元が確認できる。だから身代わりの死体を用意してアリバイを作った可能性が否定できない。その可能性が排除できない限り人間犯人説は維持できる。
なんだと？
さあバトラー、南條に検視を任せてよいのか？ ミステリーの古典では剣士の医者がグルというのが伝統なのだろう。なら南條に剣士を任せるな。そなたが自らするがよい。間違いなく6人の死体が当人で、死んだふりなどでなく本当に死んでいることを十分に確認するがいい。お前の父親が母親が腹を裂かれて臓物を引きずり出されて殺されていることを腹に手を入れてその手触りで確認するがいい。
泣かねえ。ちくしょうちくしょう、泣かねえぞ俺は。
Bador suddenly yelled. His tears were still dripping down, but as though scolding himself for being a sissy, he slapped his face hard several times with both hands. Even so, the tears still wouldn't stop. However, he felt a hot blaze in both his eyes.
これだけの上等を決めやがった野郎に借りはがっちり返させていただくぜ。なら泣く時じゃねえ。自分のすべきことを考えろ。ああ、ダメだぜ、全然ダメだ。涙を流す暇があったら考えろ。涙腺なんか緩ませる時じゃねえ。
Rather than genuine anger, maybe it was more of an evasive anger to blot out his sadness. However, it gave a little courage to George and Jessica, who'd been crushed by the sadness.
そうだね。僕たちが泣いても起こってしまった現実は変わらない。
じゃあどうすりゃいいんだ。私は父さんと母さんのために何をすればいいんだよ。
ローザ様、戻りました。
郷田さん、警察はどうでしたか。対応の指示はいつ頃来られそうだと言っていましたか。
それが電話が故障のようでして、非常用の無線機も試してはみたのですが、その天候のせいでしょうか、こちらも通じず。
なんですって。じゃあ警察に連絡がつかないということなの。あいつだ。あいつが電話線とかに採掘して警察に電話ができないようにしたんだ。
When she heard that the phones had broken down, Jessica immediately decided that it was the work of that mysterious guest. Her eyes were bright red after so much crying, and they began to grow even redder with rage.
もう議論の余地なんかねえぜ。
You...
全てが分かってる。そうだと分かる。父さんと母さんを殺したのは誰だ。決まってるぜ、あいつだ。昨日来たとかいう魔女様に決まってる。襟首ひねり上げてやるぜ。チクショーチクショーチクショー。ジェシカちゃん、お待ちなさい。郷田さん、カノ君、行って。
はい。お嬢様、お待ちを。
Covering her uncontrollable sadness with anger, Jessica ran outside, torn apart by much. Thinking about it hastily, maybe the mystery guest who'd arrived yesterday, Beatrice, was suspicious. However, in that instant, there was absolutely no proof that she was the culprit. At this moment, she's just another guest, no more, no less. So Rosa, making an adult decision, was forced to stop Jessica in her rash rampage. Goda and Kanan picked up on this immediately and chased after her.
誰にも招かれなかった客人、ベアトリーチェが犯人なんだろうか。
ジェシカの気持ちもわかる。そう思い込みたい気持ちは誰でもいいから犯人ってことにして横っ面をぶっ飛ばしてやりたい気持ちがある。だがその前にはっきりと理解する必要がある。ベアトリーチェってのは何者なんだ。俺は顔すら見てねえぜ。
顔ならお屋敷に大きな肖像画で飾られてたよ。あれだけ見てまだ覚えられないのかな。
なんだよマリアン、こんな状況で何がおかしいよ。
ベアトリーチェは魔女なんだよ。そして黄金鏡の扉を開くための儀式がいよいよ始まったの。この6人はその生贄なんだよ。さあ始まるよ、魔女の宴が。今宵はハロウィン。魔女たちが今こそ祝い集う。
マリア、その気持ち悪い声で笑うのをやめなさいっていつも言ってるでしょ。
The crisp sound of Rosa slapping Maria's cheek echoed through the high-ceiling chapel. Really? Ever since it started raining yesterday. No. Ever since the island was swallowed by the typhoon, I felt as though something was wrong. It was bright and sunny when I arrived on Rokujima, but since I gotten up early and was sleepy, I took a nap. When I woke up, it had already started raining. And ever since that time, suddenly, a mysterious visitor calling herself the Golden Witch Datress arrived, and it felt like I was sinking bit by bit into a bizarre world. What the heck happened while I was napping? Am I supposed to believe this island was sealed off inside a different world where common sense doesn't apply? Who is this person called Beatrice? Some unknown person trying to involve themselves with the inheritance problem, just like our parents were freaking out about at dinner last night? Or is the culprit this witch from the legend of old, just like Maria said? Even if we set Jessica's temper aside, given the circumstances, it's probably safe to say that this visitor person is the most suspicious. Though we must make up our minds based on that alone. It's useless. Useless. It's all useless. I smacked my face with both hands again, cooling off my brains before the overloading. Even though it might have been a wasted effort.
これはおじい様の封筒。
On a tray piled up with sweets that decorated the table, George and Iki found a Western envelope that had the Shiramaya family crest done on it, and it was unopened.
ってことは、それは俺たち宛てってことじゃねえのか。親父たちが読んだものだったなら開封されてるはずだぜ。
その推理は正解のようだよ。書いてある。残されし者たちへって書いてあるよ。
それは犯人が残した手紙なの。中身。
兄貴、開けようぜ。
After nodding silently, George and Iki wrote the suit. A folded letter came out.
読むよ。六軒島へようこそ。後ろ宮家の皆様方。
The letter again.
私は金蔵様にお仕えしております。当家顧問錬金術師のベアトリーチェと申します。
That letter really was a joke. It's Beatrice, who called herself the family alchemist, and announced that she was collecting the gold she'd lent grandfather, along with interest. That interest was everything grandfather had created. Since this tragedy was right before our eyes, as this paragraph was being read aloud, it clearly wasn't referring just to the wealth that grandfather had built up. It was literal. Everything that grandfather had created. In other words, all of grandfather's descendants were included in the interest.
ふざけやがってなんてめちゃくちゃな契約だ。黄金の利子は命だってのかよ。
Okay then.
そんなのまるで悪魔の契約じゃねえかよ。それで魔女気取りってわけか。笑わせやがるぜ。
特別条項。ただし隠された契約の黄金を暴いた者が現れた時、ベアトリーチェはこの権利を全て永遠に放棄しなければならない。黄金の隠し場所についてはすでに金蔵様が私の肖像画の下に碑文にて公示されております。つまりこういうことだね。もしこの殺人が利子の回収行為だというなら、それを止める条件としておじい様に与えた隠し黄金を探し出してみろと。そしてその秘密は例の肖像画の碑文に隠されているとも言ってる。
つまりこいつは魔女様の挑戦状ってわけか。黄金の隠し場所を記した暗号文を解けるものなら解いてみろと。そしてそれができなきゃ利子の回収をこの後も着々と進めていきますと。そうぶっ殺してやる。上等だ。
バトラ君、これ
The table was covered with sweets. So, even though those things were right out in the open, we just assumed they were sweets too. I mean, come on, you see them a lot, right? No, those boxes of chocolate shaped like gold ingots.
こりゃお菓子の箱じゃねえぞ。本物だ。こりゃ本物の金塊だ。
片翼のわしの紋章が刻印されてる。前に母さんが話してたのを聞いた。これはおじい様の黄金伝説の金塊だよ。
Bar. Gold ingots weighing a full 10 kilograms, a whole 3 of them, were piled up in the very center of the table. It was where a cake would be placed if it was a birthday party. In other words, this was without a doubt the birthday cake of the party known as the family conference.
これが本当に純度49のインゴットだったなら6000万円くらいの価値はある。
バカ野郎、安すぎる。俺たちの親が6人も殺されて、そこに積まれた黄金がたったの6000万円だと。バカにするんじゃね
え。さあ始まったね、ベアトリーチェ。どうせこの謎は誰にも解けないよ。だから絶対にベアとの勝ち。早く黄金鏡への扉を開いて、そしてマリアを連れてって。
Weird. Just weird.
お嬢様、どうか気をお静めください。
Bloody. Scary. Lady.
誰が犯人かはまだわかりませんぞ。それにベアトリーチェ様は親方様の大切な賓客です。
だからなんだってんだ。本人の胸ぐらひねり上げてやれば白状するに決まってるぜ。目を見ればわかるんだよ。私が見破ってやる。何が魔女だ、ベアトリーチェだ。化けの皮を剥いでやる。
Jessica never stopped. Yoda and Kanan chased after her, doing their best to convince her to stop, but Jessica never lent them an ear. Eventually, the witch's VIP room came into view. This VIP room was always sealed and never used. No matter what kind of guests came, Kinzo wouldn't let them in there. And yet, the servants were always made to clean this room, so that it could be used at any time. So the servants had started calling this room the witch's VIP room, after their second shapeless master. Jessica knew about this too, and she couldn't forgive the arrogance of the one who called herself a witch by staying in that room. The Golden Witch was just a fairy tale. Come on, a witch! To Jessica, she was nothing more or less than the murderer who would brutally kill her parents. Question her, hear her pitiful excuses, make her splutter in pain, gasp in anguish. No matter how hard she pretends to be a witch, I'll teach her that she's just a stinking, sweaty human. As Jessica yelled with all of her strength, she hit the door to the VIP room. It definitely wasn't a knock. That sound was the beating of her anger's hammer, as if she was determined to break the door down if it wasn't opened.
開けろよ、ベアトリーチェ。出てこい。聞こえてるんだろ。ここを開けろ。
There was no answer. Jessica grabbed the doorknob without any reservation, but she felt the resistance of the lock. She turned around to look at the two servants and spoke.
ここマスターキーで開くんでしょ。開けて。
お嬢様、それは大変な失礼にあたります。
Although Goto was flustered, he still tried to somehow calm Jessica's anger. After hanging his head silently for a while, Kanon pulled a master key from his jacket pocket.
カノンさん、いいんですか？
もしおられたなら
Magic pocket.
プレイになるのは承知です。
Jacket pocket.
それにもしベアトリーチェ様が何の関係もないというなら、それを僕たちに釈明して納得させればいい。そうだぜ、その通りだ。借りるぜ。
Jessica snatched the master key from Kanon's hand and violently shoved it into the keyhole. Immediately, there was a small sound, and she felt the lock click. Then, without asking permission, she flung the door open.
ベアトリーチェ！どこだ？出てこい！
Jessica rudely stepped into the room. The witch wasn't anywhere to be seen.
くそだね！いねえぜ！どこ行きやがった？
お姿がありませんね。
Jessica, thinking she might be hiding somewhere inside the room, peeked behind the curtains and under the bed, but she couldn't find it. However, there definitely were signs that the bed had been. Though it was only a vague sense, the atmosphere in the room felt a little soft. It wasn't the hard atmosphere a place normally devoid of people like the chapel. You could definitely tell that someone had spent the night in this room. She could not be seen. Not unless in reality, neither Jessica nor Goto had met Paige. They had only been told by those who had met her that she looked like a double of the character in that portrait, though they were doubtful about what her face really looked like. However, Kanano wanted better. He understood what kind of being that witch was, what kind of personality she had. So he knew that forcing their way in here in search for her definitely wouldn't work. She must be watching us bitterly foil about and eat from someone, sneering at us. She's that kind of person. Because he was looking at things that way, Kanon was the first to find it. The other two were concentrating on finding the shadow of a person, so they didn't notice. Near a water jug on the side table, there was a single sheet of letter paper. On it was a short message, and nearby was a fountain pen, which had probably been used to write it. Kanon had already come to understand the witch. After finding the corpse, he'd been overcome by rage and barged in here, only to find it. So of course the witch would mock her. You can't mock someone unless they know they're being mocked. So, in other words, that's what this must be.
お嬢様、ここに何か書かれています。書かれてるってなんだ？
Jessica dashed over and violently snatched the piece of paper away. She probably wasn't trying to be violent. She just couldn't control her strength right now.
だとなめやがって！
As soon as she read the message, Jessica went into a wild rage, crumpled the paper up, and threw it. Then she grabbed a light stand by the bedside, and violently swung it around, mercilessly hitting the walls and furniture with it. The light bulbs all shattered at once, and the fragments were scattered.
お嬢様、気をお沈めください。お怪我をなさいます。
離せよ！ちくしょう、ちくしょう！出てきやがれ、ベアトリーチェ！よくも父さんと母さんを！そんなに私が怖いかよ！殺してやる！殺してやる！ぶっ殺してやるから姿を現しやがれ！だから離せって言ってんだろ！くそー！
This was written on the paper.
私がぬくぬくとここであなたが飛び込んでくるのを待ちぼうけるとでも？知的な夜に粗暴なるあなたは似合わない。こんな間抜けに育てた親はどんな顔？見たよ。本当にそっくりな間抜け面。今はお菓子の国でお腹いっぱい。
It was the sort of thing that witch would write. And she predicted that one of the children who had lost their parents would come running in here. She's hiding somewhere in this room. She must be rolling around. I'm laughing now. The witch was that kind of person. She sneered at people's misfortune, using it to stave off the boredom of 1,000 years.
これはお渡しください。お怪我をなさいますと申し上げております。
離せって言ってんだよ。くそくそ。
Oda snatched away the light stand Jessica had been holding. After all, if she kept swinging it around, she might end up smashing it against something, which could cause serious injury. To Goda's eyes, Jessica probably looked mad with rage, burning herself up with the flames of anger. But Kanan's eyes saw it. Those were probably tears of sadness, hidden by rage. So, when the light stand was taken from Jessica, she started crying on the floor, scratching at the carpet almost as though she was wrong. Goda was surprised. Kanan was not. Of course, she had lost her means of crying by lashing out in rage. Considering that she was a daughter of the Shiramai, she was in a very shabby state. She scratched at the carpet with her fingernails, and even her feet were scratching. Jessica cried very, very hard. Because if she didn't, her rage would start building up again and swallow her. But over and over again, she remembered that humiliating message. You can only imagine what the parents who raised you could be such a moron to.
父さんも母さんも頭が良かった。私なんかとは違う。本当に頭が良かった。悪くなんかじゃない。取り消せ、取り消せ。
Oh, right. I saw them. They look just as moronic as you. Now their bellies are full and lamps.
殺してやる。殺してやる。野郎の腹を裂いて同じ目に遭わせてやる。
As Jessica cried and screamed, she triggered an asthma attack. Servants watching over her hurriedly ran up to her and rubbed her back, but that only provoked Jessica's wrath.
そんなことする暇があったらあいつを探せよ。足出して私のところへ連れてこい。お前らが行かないなら私が探せ。そしてこの手で殺してやる。腹を引き裂いてやる。触るんじゃねえぜ。畜生畜生。
Jessica got up unsteadily, and as her asthma continued, she went out into the hall.
お嬢様、お薬を至急。南條先生をお呼びします。
ゴーダさん、僕に任せてくれませんか。
Kanana noticed. Goda, who was vastly separated from her in age, probably couldn't sense the tears in Jessica's heart. Kanan, who had noticed, had to be the one to support her.
カノンさん、いいのですか。
今のお嬢様には涙を流す時間も必要なのだと思います。ご両親のあんな死に方を目の当たりにしては。
そうですね。
Goda also understood. And he knew that Jessica and Kanan had shared a vague relationship with each other. So he understood everything and left it to her.
わかりました。私はローザ様のところへ戻ります。お嬢様をくれぐれもよろしくお願いしますよ。
はい、お任せを。
Kanan's voice was frail, but he nodded firmly. After looking at his eyes, Goda nodded firmly as well. Goda was a veteran with many years behind him. He'd seen a great number of people in his life, so he knew the vigorous sparkle that could be found in the eyes of those who possess self-control. He had surely seen that in Kanan's eyes, so he would leave this to Kanan. When you think about it, maybe this was the first time Goda had ever trusted Kanan and relied on him for a job. Jessica, still suffering from her asthma, seemed to be heading towards her room, though she kept leaning against the wall. Kanan followed her wordlessly. If she had asked for a hand, he would have leapt forward and supported her. But until Jessica did ask for that, he chose to hide himself, watching over her from a distance where he could come to her rescue at any time. When people feel their hearts are about to explode from sadness and want to have someone by their sides, you can bet 10 billion of them would want to turn around and find someone in the place Kanan now stood, as he watched over Jessica from behind. Then, finally, she doubled over in front of the door to her room. The asthma attack had stolen all her strength, and her thoughts had gotten hazy from the lack of oxygen, making it impossible even to stand up again. But right then, Jessica didn't think she wanted someone to lend a hand. She still hadn't been able to overcome the flames of anger. Even if someone had offered her a hand with good intentions, Jessica would have wanted to tear it off right then. She knew how unfair that would be. So she definitely wouldn't ask for help until she overcame the fiery anger burning inside. Jessica had probably lost the willpower even to call for help. But Kanan heard it. He definitely heard it. Kanan definitely heard that voiceless call for help, once shared by miserable grief, over the world around, an endless screamer that no one ever seems to hear. Kanan quietly knelt by Jessica's side and wordlessly offered her a shoulder. Though Jessica kept coughing painfully, she accepted it, and locked the door to her and entered.
こちらへ。今、お薬をご用意します。
Jessica often said that when her asthma got serious enough, it hurt so bad that it felt like she'd vomit up her whole stomach. Her face was pale and her gaze wavered. And yet, the coughing continued. Even so, her sadness was probably even stronger. After having her sit on the bed, Kanan took a bronchodilator from a cute little basket on a nearby side table and handed it to her. Jessica sometimes forgot to take her medicine with her. Whenever this seemed to have happened, Kanan would take notice and secretly carry around the inhaler from the first aid kit in the servant room, but he hadn't done so today. He scolded himself, as though wondering how he could call himself furniture after failing to bring it with him on a day like this. Then he remembered the day when he'd used that word and somehow betrayed Jessica's feelings. It jarred Kanan's heart, but he felt it would be indiscreet to think about something like that, considering how Jessica felt now, and he locked it up inside the depths of his heart. When she inhaled her medicine, Jessica's wild breathing calmed down bit by bit. She was finally able to regain her composure. But she'd lost too much strength and willpower to get up from the bed.
大丈夫ですか、お嬢様。
私は大丈夫だぜ。父さんと母さんはダメだけど、私はもうちょっとなきゃ大丈夫だぜ。
Kanan regretted his poor choice of words. Did he really say, "Are you all right, sir?" Was he really that clueless of the pain in her heart? This was what made him furniture. This was why he couldn't become human.
廊下におります。ご用がありましたら、すぐにお呼びください。
Kanan understood that she still needed some time to cry alone. He told her to call him at any time, bowed and tried to leave the room.
何か
Jessica had spoken up as though she'd wanted him to stop, so Kanan had stopped. If she asked it, I'll do anything I can to help her. Right now, I'd become even a cane or a chair if it would help ease the pain in her heart. If by doing that, I could make up for the pain I dealt to her on that day. For a while, Jessica stared into Kanan's eyes. It was as though her reason for stopping him was something she couldn't put into words. For a while, neither spoke. Jessica broke that silence with a small voice.
ごめん。なんでもないぜ。しばらく一人になりたいって。
一人にはしません。あなたを僕は一人にしない。だから廊下にいます。いつでも呼んでください。
For just an instant, it looked like some kind of hope had flooded into Jessica's eyes. But it was very faint and disappeared like the first snow on the surface of a river.
ありがとな。しばらく。
You know.
はい。失礼します。
Kanan bowed once again and closed the door. He thought those words of his would give her some courage. But now, it felt as though they'd actually hurt her, for some reason. Why? He didn't know. Surely, that was because he was furniture. That was why he couldn't grasp human sadness even now. As Kanan repeatedly questioned himself, he walked down the corridor. He felt like the window at the corridor's end was coolly calling to him.
僕はやっぱり家具でしかないのか。
It was still pouring outside, a dark gray world. Even on days like this, Shannon would surely see the ocean and know that it was blue. But to my eyes, even if it cleared up, I would only see gray. Until I can understand the blue of the ocean, I'll be nothing but furniture imitating a person.
本当に女心のわからぬやつよ。ああいう時は黙ってそばにいるのが正解だ。だからゆえに貴様は家具なのよ。
貴様！
There shouldn't have been any trace of human life in this corridor. It had been an empty corridor filled with frigid air. Those scoffing words approached Kanan from behind. What do you want? When he turned around, he saw that witch. That witch who hadn't shown herself when Jessica had searched for her with a rage bordering on madness, and who had left that sneering letter to toy with Jessica.
女の傷つけ方は3つある。特別にわらわが教えてやろう。一つは刃物で傷つける。一つは心で傷つける。そして最後が一番難しく、一番効果的に傷つけられる。なのに意識せずして傷つけられる。わかるか？
わかるわけもないし、知りたくもない。
期待を裏切る。だ。女ほど夢見がちな生き物はいない。勝手に夢を見、勝手に傷つく。お前のような距離の男が一番女を傷つける。わかるまいな。どれほどジェシカを傷つけてきたか全く考えが及んでいまい。家具だから。
お前のたわごとに付き合う気は毛頭ない。僕を嘲笑うためだけに姿を現したというのか。
うぬぼれるな家具。貴様ごとき嘲笑うにも足りぬわ。しかしそなたも一人ではそれに値しなくても二人揃えば十分に足りる。若々しき男女の悲運を笑う喜びは何度繰り返しても飽きぬのでな。
なんだと。まさか貴様お嬢様を。
第二の晩の生贄に寄り添う二人が必要なのでな。お前たち二人は実に都合がよい。
待て、勘違いするな。僕はお嬢様とそういう関係じゃない。第二の晩の生贄にはならない。
だからお前はジェシカを傷つける。だからお前は人間になれぬ。ならばよいだろう。貴様がジェシカを思い人と認めぬならば、それを受け入れてもよい。だがジェシカは殺す。
なぜ？
このバカが決まっておろうが。殺したらそなたが歪めるだろう。その表情が楽しいからの他に何の理由が必要なのか。儀式に従い、わらわは気まぐれに13人を生贄とする。だがそれ以上殺してはならないとの決まりはない。わらわが楽しければ幾人でも殺す。だから殺す。わらわを思いっきり笑わせてみせろよ。カグカノ
At that time, Kanan definitely heard Jessica's scream. He blinked and looked down the corridor. The witch who'd supposedly been there so nonchalantly just a second ago. Oh. Sean, what is this? At that moment, he was just standing there all alone in the corridor, doing nothing. Chanting, and the person he wanted to protect was asking for help, far away in that direction. It was obvious what he should do. It wasn't logical. It was an electric reflex, without a trace of hesitation or distraction. There was a person he wanted to protect, and she was asking for help. And, at that moment, he genuinely wanted the person by her side to be with him. When he flew into Jessica's room, the scene that greeted his eyes was bizarre. The room had become a fantastical world where a blizzard of gold-colored specks danced, almost as though gold leaf had been scattered inside a snow globe. Oh, that's the one. I've seen this spectacle before. This isn't gold leaf. It's countless golden butterflies, creatures, minions. Jessica was surrounded by countless butterflies, waving her hands around, trying frantically to drive them away.
お嬢様！
カノン君助けて。
Kanan rushed towards Jessica and violently brushed the clouds of butterflies away. The butterflies, which were sickening despite their beauty, surrounded Jessica's face, trying to crawl into her mouth and nose. Ugh. Jessica choked violently, almost as though the butterflies were triggering an asthma attack, mocking her. But when Kanan ran towards her, the butterflies stopped attacking and began to dance an elegant rondo around the pair. Yes.
カノン君。カノン君。
大丈夫。僕の目の黒いうちはあなたに誰の指一本触れさせたりするものか。出てこい、ベアトリーチェ。これで満足か。
As he stood guard in front of Jessica, who was using her inhaler and seemed to be in pain, Kanan yelled into the empty air. And when he did, the empty air did indeed laugh back, satisfied. Woo! Then she showed herself. It wasn't in response to Kanan's demand. It was obviously because appearing and sneering would bring them even more humiliation. Plus, it was more fun.
これで全ては筋書き通りよ。今やそなたは相乗の恋よな。いや、二人が揃ったのだから鴨とネギと呼ぶべきか。
ベアトリーチェ。
お下がりください、お嬢様。僕が守る。
姫に騎士が揃わば魔女が現れるのは必然よ。どれ、金蔵の家具がどの程度の力を持つか見せてもらおうではないか。
She snapped her fingers with a piercing circle. When she did, a blizzard of gold butterflies was stirred up. They began to form a small mountain as they whirled around in a circle. It was just like the swirling of a cold, wintry wind that builds up a mountain of leaves. From that mound of gold, a hand sprouted, and appeared, as though a resident of the world below was crawling up the ground.
何これ。なんだよこれ。
Jessica couldn't comprehend what she was seeing right now, and her mouth kept flapping open and closed. Flapping open and closed. It was the bite of wisdom, seeming as trying to understand something incomprehensible. Oh. 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 The thing crawling up was probably an attendant who served the witch. It appeared to be wearing a uniform suitable for one who served. Its face was... It looked strange. It was covered with pitch black hair, breathed rotten breath, and its eyes were filled with the same strange subterranean glow as Falcon. And to symbolize its non-human status, there were two holes. It was the figure of a goat-faced attendant who served the witch. By now, Jessica had no idea what she should say. All this happening in front of her couldn't be explained with common sense. She couldn't do anything except open and close her mouth. Jessica hadn't realized. He hadn't realized that this island had already been cut off from the rest of the island. There were some things even she could understand. Its goat attendant served the witch. It was after her life. Apparently, the witch had already given it the order. She was looking at Kanan with an expectant gaze. She looked at him with an expectant and therefore challenging gaze, as though asking him how he intended to protect his maiden. Though the attendant had looked especially bestial while crawling to its feet, you could see in the way it carried itself that it possessed more than enough grace to be worthy of serving the golden witch. You could tell that it was overflowing with the joy of furniture wanting to meet its master's expectations.
見せてもらおうではないか。金蔵の家具の力を。今度は間違えるな。家具であることを忘れるな。この後に及んで人間のふりを続けるのなら、死ぬのはお前だけでは済まぬぞ。
The goat attendant made what seemed to be a silent, respectful bow. Was it directed at its master, or was it offered to Kanan, its opponent? Then, on the attendant's hand, a blade of wicked malice. That's scary.
なんだよ。
Look out. Jessica had been able to understand what was happening before her eyes for a while now. All she understood was that this glow in front of her existed for the purpose of ending her life. Right now, that was enough. Kanan spoke quietly to Jessica, who was hiding behind his back.
お嬢様、壁に下がっていてください。背中は決して壁から離さないように。
姫君はおとなしく騎士殿の背中に隠れているがいい。自らの命を男に守らせる醍醐味でも存さあカノン、お前の刃を見せてみよ。
Look at his blade. Oh. Oh. Huh.
美しい。金蔵は家具を生み出すことに関してだけはわらわの足元に及ぶやもしれぬ。
こんなものバラの手入れにも。
カノン君、それは
見せたくなかった。
よくぞ抜いたぞ。思いを寄せる女の前で己が人間以下の存在であることを晒した気分はどう？
黙れ。
憤怒で己を焦がしているくせに冷静を装うか。なるほど。真に熱き炎は青く静かだという。今のそなたがそうだというのか。
僕の力でお前を殺すことなどできるわけもない。お前は月、石つぶてを投げたとて月を砕くことなどできるわけだが、お前は権限するために水面にその姿を映す。 水面に石つぶてを投じれば一時月を乱すこともできるかもしれない。しかし月を砕くことなど至らない。だから僕はこの命尽きるまでお前の映る水面を叩き続けてやる。
気に入ったぞカノン。始めろカグども。
Oh, Oh. Ah. Ah.
ほう、美しい奇跡だ。
The witch's words of admiration broke the silence, and for just an instant, they broke Jessica's paralysis.
私は夢を見てるの？
来い、魔女の家具め。元来た地獄へ叩き落としてやる。
A strand of red had been left in Kanan's cheek, the witch saw this and grinned broadly.
勘が戻らぬことを言い訳につぶやいてもよいぞ。
カノン君、しっかり。
大丈夫、僕はまだ死なない。
The curve drawn by the ghost attendant's blade drew a large arc in empty space. Kanan wasn't there. He was behind it.
先に帰りて、
Wow.
主の帰りを待つがいい。
What was that? Oh. There's this battle of drawing sparkling curves with chest. And Kanan coming from behind was check. Press, 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 press. Do 7 moves and make it mate. Perhaps the goat attendant hadn't even been granted the ability to go into death throes. As its knees buckled and it fell over, it broke into a bunch of gold butterflies with paw. Whoa. So there was no sound of it hitting the ground. Even those unable to understand this battle surely realized that Kanan had been magnificent.
ハンドメイドには勝てぬか。そこまで見下げたものではないらしい。
次はお前だ、ベアトリーチェ。
The instant Kanan's blade sliced diagonally through the witch's form, like a knife through butter, she turned gold and burst. Scattered into several thousand gold butterflies. For just an instant, the room was filled with the color of twilight. It was just as Kanan himself had said. Slicing Beatrice was just the same as slicing the surface of the water where the ghosts are reflected. The witch's form, with an ordinary expression on its face, as though she'd been there the whole time, was right behind Kanan.
十分に面白い見せ物であったぞ。それに免じ見逃してやろうかと思ったが、今の無礼で気が変わった。
嘘をつくな。お前にお嬢様を殺させはしない。たとえそれが無理でも僕より先に殺させはしない。
お前にはそれすらできぬわ。喋るな家具が。無口であれ家具が。身の程を知れ家具が。
カノン君は家具なんかじゃない。
ほう、なぜそう言えるのか。
理由なんかいらない。カノン君はカノン君だよ。本当の名前は別にあるけれど、それでも名前は家具じゃない。カノン君にはカノン君の生き方がある。それはとても高潔なもので、自らが決めるもの。家具だから意見しちゃいけないとか、家具だから自分の人生を持っちゃいけないとか、そんなのないよ。
お嬢様、あいつを挑発してはいけません。
はっきり言っておくぜ。カノン君は家具じゃない。人間だよ。どうして？カノン君は自分の意志で私を助けに駆けつけてくれた。そして恐ろしい魔女であるあんたの前に立ちはだかってくれた。私を見捨てることなんていくらでもできてたのに、そうしなかった。自己犠牲は人間だけが持つ高潔な精神だ。だからカノン君は人間なんだ。だから訂正しろ。カノン君を家具だなんて呼ぶな、二度と。
お嬢様。
語るな人間が。とっとと終わらせよう。何しろまだまだ第二の番。互いの尊厳を認め合う寄り添いし二人を今こそ生贄に捧げよ。さあさあおいでなさい。罪を許しなさい。煉獄の七杭が一つ。色欲。
The witch summoned her furniture with a mixture of laughter and anger on her face.
色欲のアスモデウス。
Who's this? Asmodeus, the boss.
ここに。
茶番は飽きた。第二の番を速やかに遂行せよ。わらわに瞬きを三つも許すな。
That's what they're calling her.
仰せのままに。
また
Oh no!
妙なのが出やがったぜ。
Another one. Huh? It took Anon less than an instant to understand. That goat face from a second ago had been nothing more than a pawn to the witch. However, this newly summoned furniture was a game piece with a vastly different value.
素敵な獲物に恵まれるなんて、なんて幸運なのかしら。怯えてる？かわいい。
来い、魔女の家具。お前には殺されない。
私の姿を追うこともできないノロマのくせに生きがって行くわよ。ねえねえ、どこがいい？どこを貫いてほしい？お答えなさいよ、かわいい子。あなたの好きなところを思い切り貫いてあげる。さあさあ、お答えなさいよ、かわいい子。
僕を可愛いと言うな。
行くわよ、ノルマ。さあ追ってごらん、その節穴で。
Another fight.
お嬢様。
目では追えなかったけどよ。読みは当てたぜ。さあまあ、見やがれ。
Alan's back had been the target. But Jessica had predicted it. He predicted that the witch's target would be the complete opposite of fair and honest. Back. She had no way to block it. He hadn't planned on it being some act of self-sacrifice. She just couldn't think of any other way to protect Kanon's back. So she could do nothing but block it with her own back. The furniture of the witch, which had changed its form into a demon state, was buried deep into Jessica's back. It was an obviously fatal wound that reached as far as her lungs. When she saw this, the witch let out a loud, evil laugh, because it had hit where the witch had predicted. Everything was as the witch had predicted.
どうしたカノン？ジェシカお嬢様はお前より先には殺されなかったんじゃないのか？そうそう、それそれ、その顔よ。お前のその顔が見たかった。楽しんだ、実に十分。もうよい、死ね死ね、笑わせろ。さあさあ、おいでなさい。罪を許しなさい。煉獄の七杭が一つ。フンド。
フンドのサタン、ここに。
その獲物はお前のものだ。今すぐ食らってこやつの舞台に幕を下ろしてやれ。人ならば交番とも言おうが、家具のお前の場合は大道具係が舞台裏に運び出すといったところか。
僕はもう家具じゃない。そしてそれを二度と疑わない。
なーに？あんたまた私に殺されちゃうの？あんたの胸温かくて本当に貫くと気持ちがいいのよ。さあまた味合わせて。あなたの温かい胸の中で熱い熱い血潮で私を思い
There was no way to block it. The sound of a woodpecker filled the entire room. Before he could blink, it was already right in the center of it. When you take a piece in chess, the rules say that it's impossible for your opponent's piece to defend itself. So this was an obvious result in accordance with the rule. Kanon landed on his knees, and he apologized. Not to the witch, and not to Milady. He apologized to Jessica.
ごめん。守りきれなかった。
気にしないで。かっこよかったよ。
Kanon finally fell over. He landed next to Jessica, and the two lay there like the constellation Gemini.
カノン君はさ、もう家具じゃないよ。
はい。それに気づくのが遅すぎた。
君の本当の名前聞きたかった。
僕の本当の名前は
In his last moments, Kanon wanted to tell her his real name. But Jessica had already fallen into a sleep from which she would never wake. So, Kanon's real name, he had protected until today. In the end, he couldn't tell it to Jessica.
僕は人間になれ。
Those were the last words Kanon left behind. Evil girl! Ah!